morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for the final Salty Saturday of 2024. I am your host, Mr. Kadish, and we are waiting on our special guest, Mr. Big Man Comics himself, Gabe Eltaeb. He's having some internet issues, but until he shows up, I have my fantastic panel of nerds who can't seem to be quiet during my intro, but that's okay.
Lisan Gaib! That's all I can think of.
Yes. Lisan Al Gaib, yes.
Lisan Gaib.
He's he is sacrificing his internet to the sandworms at the moment, but he will be back on as soon as it's reset. But Mr. Dutch Butters, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm not fully functional yet. I have had no caffeine nor breakfast, and my daughter is on the way to get that right now. She's here visiting, so I'm putting her to work. I'm here, take the card and go down and get me something. So
this is cheaper than coffee, bro. Just get a giant bottle of caffeine.
Look, man, if that's where I'm at,
it's hard on your kidneys, though. I'll tell you right now.
That's no good. That's no good, bro. Caffeine pills. Come on. What is wrong with you? You washing it down with a Monster Energy drink?
No, it's water. It's water. Come on.
Okay. All right.
It's a giant monster.
And water.
Do you remember when Brian had that unlimited thing with Panera Bread where he would just go there and get like 32-ounce energy drinks every day?
Yeah. It was every couple hours, bro.
Yeah.
I had my wife stopping for me. I had a crackhead for that stuff.
I had a coworker who was in the Panera Bread Club, and he stopped twice a day, every day, with a big old 32-ounce drink. Yeah. And I'm sure that they got tired of his ass coming in there.
A lot of people canceled their memberships when they removed the chargers, because that was the only reason us meth heads kept going there.
Speaking of meth heads, Brian, how are you doing today?
I'm here. I'm here. I'm alive. Just had my caffeine pill. I'm doing great.
Yep.
Excited to be with you guys before Christmas here.
Yep. Leading up to the holidays. He's here. He's queer. He's our shield against all things intersectional and methed out as well.
But it only works on this show. It does not work on my own show. I am not the shield of my own show.
Yes, indeed. Apparently, as evidenced by YouTube, you want to give everyone an update on what's going on with the live stream channel?
We won't be able to stream. We won't be able to stream for another 5 days. 5 more days, and then we're out of the kitty. We're off the kitty table. We're out of the whatever you want to call it. We're out of YouTube jail. Apparently, when you appeal and they don't like your appeal, it could turn into a community strike.
Yeah, apparently. Speaking of community strikes, guys, we have the one, the only, Lisan Al Gaib himself.
Hey guys, can you hear me now? Can you hear
yes,
me?
we can hear you now.
It's like, you know how the Wi-Fi router is kind of like a woman that needs attention for no reason once in a while. So
yes,
we reset the router. Then I called Spectrum, who getting rid of. I'm on the waiting list for Starlink. San Diego, they're filled up with Starlink, so you have to get on the waiting list to get on it.
Oh wow,
Spectrum, you suck. I'm getting rid of your horrible internet.
Good.
Well, you're coming in loud and clear now, Gabe.
Today's show brought to you by Spectrum.
Yeah, we want to thank you for being here today for the last Salty Saturday of 2024.
All right.
Looking forward to talking to you, especially about Superman, because you are best friends with the actual Superman, Mr. Dean Cain.
We're good buddies.
Yes, indeed. Do you got any specials going on your comic books for the holidays?
I did, but it's too late for shipping for anyone to get anything by Christmas. But that doesn't mean you can't go to bigmancomics.com and get yourself something great. But we've got all kinds of great stuff going on. Do you want me to go into that now, or are we even on the air, or what are we doing?
We're on the air.
Yes, we're on the air. Yeah, we started without you.
Okay. But I can get to the sales pitch a little bit later, right? Let's kind of
sure. But why don't you tell the people who showed up early what's going on too?
Okay. Well, I'm a 25-year veteran of illustration and writing and all that. I mostly worked in the mainstream for DC Comics, but if you've heard of it, I've worked on it. Star Wars, Batman, Superman, G.I. Joe, Beast Wars, Transformers, World of Warcraft. If you've heard of it, I've done it. When independent, 3 and change years ago, I run Big Man Comics, and we're having a great time. I've put out 2 books, and I've got 5 on the slate for 2025 that we're working on. But I put out Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, which is basically Indiana Jones and Lethal Weapon and all that great 80s action that you love. We got a sequel for that coming. I have Empyrean, which is my love letter to Star Wars, and it has a real family-centered message, but it's also rebels versus authoritarian dictators, and got a lot of those great sci-fi themes. And then Fox News superstar himself, Tyrus from the Gutfeld show and all that. He and I are good friends too, and we have a Tyrus comic book that I just started illustrating this week. I'm the inker, my buddy Akion's the penciler, and I wrote it, and it's a fantastic book. It's like Ninja Turtles and Incredible Hulk meets like Indiana Jones treasure hunting, Tomb Raider kind of ancient civilization stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. If you guys are good and people start subbing to my channel, we're almost to 10,000 on YouTube for me. If you guys could get me close to that, I need like 400 and something or 500 something. Maybe I'll show some pages from the unstoppable Tyrus that I'm currently inking here at my house.
Nice. So guys, link to Gabe's YouTube channel is in the description of this video and pinned in the chat. So if you guys want to go over there and show him some Christmas cheer and some love, go subscribe to Big Man Comics on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, look, Kenneth LaRoque in the chat. I got All American Lawman. I bet you he loves it. I've yet to hear a negative word said about it. People love it. I really do. I'm against all the woke entertainment, but when you read the stuff I write and stuff I draw, you won't smell like, oh, I hate feminists. I hate Democrats. I don't do that. I entertain, and give inspiring themes to the stories.
Good. It's good to hear.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of inspiring big men and anti-woke, welcome, Odin. We of the newly trimmed beard, by the way.
Yes, thank you. That was the weirdest introduction I think I've ever gotten. Being called a big man like that, I don't know how I feel about that, Matthew. I don't like you saying that. But yeah, wonderful to still be in this blessed season of Advent and Christmas, just a few days away. Kind of crazy. Love it.
Yeah, and we were just reminiscing about how our show schedule revolves around Odin's son's bowel movements, essentially.
True. It's so true.
Yeah. It's just like Odin pops on. Yeah.
If he goes by himself, like earlier in the day, we're all good. But if it's right before nap, usually it's like, it's so funny. He's now in this wheeling and dealing phase. So he's like, okay, we read this whole book and then we'll go and then get a book before bed too. And I'm like, buddy. So.
How old are we talking? How old?
He's 4.
Oh, what a great age.
It would have been funny if you said 26.
It's just my 20-year-old, he's still on my insurance. And
I'm still changing his boobies.
Little inside baseball, everyone. So every week when I send out the topics and links and stuff like that, I tell everyone, try to log in 10 minutes early so we can pregame, deal with any technical issues, blah, blah, blah. And then like every time we're like 10 minutes out, I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, when do I think Odin's son is going to take a dump?
Yep.
Speaking of taking dumps, Tom Connors Jr. is nowhere to be found, and we don't know what's up with him.
He's been gone for a month.
Well, last week he was sick, so unfortunately he wasn't up to coming on the show. So,
but listen, he didn't come on our show, but he went on 14 other shows after our show was on.
Yeah. So no idea what's going on with him, but hopefully he will show up later on the show. And if not, we wish him a happy holidays. Speaking of happy holidays, guys, this is the last time you will be seeing this leaderboard because we reset at the beginning of every year. And 2025 is going to be a new year. But we want to thank profusely Scotty Dub, Brian G, and William Forbus for being our top super chatters, and Scotty Dub in particular for being our top contributor of 2025. Thank you so much. Brian G gave him a run for his money for a while there, but they're pretty much tied in there. But because Scotty Dub was the most recent one, I gave him the top spot. No disrespect to Brian G, though. He's been a big supporter of us this year as well. And speaking of big supporters, Mexican Iron Man, most consistent contributor throughout the year. He's been missing a couple times lately, but he still shows up occasionally and drops some love our way. He is a very busy guy. I think he's a little bit relieved that he doesn't have to prepare for the oncoming civil war now. That Trump won the election.
Yeah,
but he was going hardcore, preparing for the worst on that for a while. And of course, our top gifters: Jillian N, the Queen of Gifted Memberships, Bob Dorsey, Sam Schwager, Major Chai Chai, and the one and only Eric Winberg, who has already dropped his obligatory One Salty Nerd podcast gifted membership. Thank you so much, Eric. Appreciate you. And we also have a members chat for 3 months from Juliet. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, Salty Nerds in chat. Merry Christmas to you, Juliet.
Merry Christmas.
Really appreciate you. Guys, our goal today, as set by Mr. Butters, is 15 new members. So we only got 14 more to go, thanks to Eric Winberg. And if you like the show, don't forget to comment on the video, and also you can clip it on your mobile device. So if there's a particular part you like and want to share, go ahead and clip it there, and it'll go out there to the masses and also automatically show up on the Salty Nerd YouTube page. And Mephisto's movie reviews is going to be on right after us. And so, guys, we're going to automatically redirect you over there. So if you want to check out Mephisto, you can do that. But we also recommend in the new year, The Brain Show starts at 12:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Eastern time, about half hour after our show ends. And that will be Brian and Shane, Brain themselves, talking about everything that's going to get them canceled and kicked off YouTube.
I'm giving you guys 3 weeks before
3 weeks.
banned again.
Oh,
And of course, we have
we're not even that
Odin,
controversial, but
Odin, I'm going to share your link in the chat.
Okay.
You want to talk about the Raven Awards?
Yeah. So right now, I'm trying something a little bit different this year. In the past, I have this Raven Award show. It's a Oscars boycott show. Been doing it now for, I think it's going to be the 6th or 7th annual show. It's kind of insane that it's been that long. But it's just our way of boycotting the Oscars, awarding the best films of the year, worst films of the year, but also a lot of other fun categories as well. And right now, we're just collecting nominations, trying to get a short list together. So that way, when we have our official nominations form, it's a little bit more structured than it has been in previous years. So anyway, if you want to have any nominations for the various things listed, just click the form. There's no email address needed, so I don't collect that information. But if you want to nominate Shill of the Year, NPC of the Year, or other fun categories like that, go ahead and check out that link.
Awesome stuff.
Thank you.
You know what else is awesome, guys? The Karate Kid. And, there's been so much focus on Superman this week that I think a lot of people overlooked the fact that Sony dropped a trailer for the new Karate Kid movie called Karate Kid Legends. And this, I remember when I was a kid and like Karate Kid parts 1, 2, and 3, by the time you got to the third one, people kind of moved past Karate Kid and it wasn't very good, all this other stuff. But then with Cobra Kai, you had this kind of resurgence in the introduction of what they're calling the Miyagi-verse, which is basically these people who are very passionate about the world of Karate Kid. They're trying to take everything that Mr. Miyagi appeared in and make it canon. And now they're trying to bridge the gap with the Jackie Chan Karate Kid and bring that into the Miyagi-verse. And it's with this trailer for the Karate Kid Legends. Now, of course, because of YouTube's copyright, unfortunately, we can't show it. But I asked everyone on the panel to take a look at it and react to it. So I would like to start with our special guest, Mr. Gabe Eltaeb. Gabe, what did you think of the new Karate Kid trailer?
It looked fine. Love Jackie Chan, and I saw a couple seasons of Cobra Kai and thought they were fun. I don't have Netflix anymore, but where's William Zabka? Where's Johnny Lawrence in this thing? That really bothers me. He's so funny, and he's the character I relate to the most in Cobra Kai. Like he's my favorite character, and a good, a lot of comedic stuff with him and a lot of, I don't know, masculine father issues that are really fun in there. I don't like Daniel-san as much as him. And the fact that he's not in this, I think, is a mistake, unless he is in it and they just didn't show it in the trailer, which is highly doubtful. I don't know. That's how I felt. I just kept thinking, where is he? Where's Johnny Lawrence? That's all I thought of the trailer. So.
Yeah, we don't get a whole lot of info from the trailer other than Jackie Chan, who's reprising his role from the Jaden Smith Karate Kid movie. He comes searching for Mr. Miyagi's top student, which is Daniel-san, because he needs help with a kid that he's mentoring as well. And I think he's either probably like terminally ill or he's, like too old or something like that. I don't know what his excuse is, but basically Daniel-san becomes a new mentor to this kid. We're going to have to wait to see how the series finale of Cobra Kai plays out to answer all these questions about where Johnny is in this. Where's Miguel? Where's Robbie? Where's all these other characters that are like kind of like under Daniel's wing currently in Cobra Kai? But Brian, I want to get your take on it. What did you think of Karate Kid's Legends?
I just watched it as you were talking, and I'm sorry, I completely forgot. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I just watched it. I gotta say, I'm glad that. One thing I'm glad about is that we're never going to see Jaden Smith ever again. That's great. So, yeah. And I like Jackie Chan. So the fact that they're connecting the two, in this in the way they're doing it is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Karate Kid. I love Cobra Kai, great series. But I'm with Gabe here. I miss the, we need some of these other characters that brought levity to it.
Like Hawk.
Like Hawk. Sure. What's that guy's name? What's the actor's name that plays the blonde dude?
It's William Zabka. He's Johnny Lawrence.
Yeah, I want that guy. He made me laugh.
I agree.
Well, I love everything they're doing with the Cobra Kai universe. Bringing back like every single actor who was ever involved in it, except for Hilary Swank, which I'm hoping by the time we get to the end of the final season, they somehow address that. But Odin, I'd like to hear what you think of the trailer, and also want to hear what you think about Sony's timing, because they knew that Warner Brothers was dropping the Superman trailer. They probably could have gotten more traction if they dropped it earlier or afterwards or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the thinking they had there, but also when it comes to dropping trailers themselves are not always going to be, going to guarantee ticket sales. And the fact that this is like a first trailer does not mean that they don't have a chance in the future to have a second follow-up trailer that they could maybe do it at a better time that could, actually motivate pre-sales when those actually go on sale. As far as the trailer itself goes, I remember I posted it as soon as I saw it on social media, and I mentioned like, wow, I'm actually very surprised by how much I like the trailer and how promising it looks. As someone who has, seen all the Karate Kid films, really enjoys them. Especially just how cheesy they get. I mean, you get to that third film especially, and there's a lot of people that just don't like it. I do. I love the cheesiness of it. I love when we talk about like the villains. My favorite of that universe is probably Terry Silver, because the actor just plays that original character so insane. And so to see him come back in Cobra Kai was my favorite part, because he clearly has gotten a lot of training as an actor. So now he's actually like a really good actor doing a similar crazy performance. And so it's like a redemption arc almost, I feel, for that actor, where it's like, I think a lot of people look at that role and think, oh man, that was a little bit too much. And I don't know if he's really, selling it well, but man, he came back Cobra Kai and did phenomenally with it. So having now bring in the Jackie Chan version, right, with his movie, I never saw it. I refused to watch it. It was not Karate Kid. I just could not, will myself to actually watch that, especially with it being like Will Smith's son, trying this anointing stuff. And I'm like, no, thank you. But I like Jackie Chan. Yeah, but I like Jackie Chan. So the fact that he's in it and he's playing a sensei and he's, in that role. And I really especially like in this trailer how they're focusing, it seems, on different types of martial arts. So I like that there seems like there's going to be like this culture clash a little bit, right? Of these Chinese art styles versus like the Korean or even the Japanese art styles. And so it'd be really cool to see that kind of mission mashing together. And I'm also the same, though. I do wish Johnny Lawrence was in it. But I remember early on, there was, early thoughts were this was going to be completely disconnected from Cobra Kai. I think even the creators said, yeah, this is not going to be a follow-up to Cobra Kai. And some of us were scratching our heads like, well, why wouldn't you do that? But luckily, it does seem like there is, at least it's within the universe. So we have the potential for there maybe to be some cameos, and I think that's probably how they would handle someone like a Johnny Lawrence, like coming in more as like a cameo appearance versus an actual dedicated role. But yeah, if they do what they did in this trailer, even, I think it'll be enough for me, at least, to want to go and see it.
Yeah, I did like the whole one tree, two branches metaphor in this. That kind of set the stage for it. Mr. Butters, what did you think of the trailer?
It was fine. It was a fun trailer. I didn't have any issues with it in particular. I am not a huge Karate Kid fan, so I don't really care if Johnny Lawrence is in this movie or not. But I don't know. It just seems like a nice way to follow up the series, I guess. I thought Jackie Chan played Mr. Miyagi in that movie with Will Smith.
Different character.
It was different.
So this is right.
Okay, because I never saw that movie either. I thought it was just a weird alternate universe movie.
Yeah, I also thought he was Mr. Miyagi. Yeah,
but I guess I'm wrong. But I never.
I thought it was like a reboot. So I'm stoked that it's not a reboot.
Well, I mean, at the time when the new Karate Kid came out, or the next Karate Kid, or whatever it's called, Cobra Kai hadn't been released yet, right? Will Smith had just gotten the rights to the Karate Kid movie. He put his son Jaden in it. It took place in China, and Jackie Chan played someone other than Mr. Miyagi. Everyone thought he was going to be Mr. Miyagi, but he wasn't. Right. And so, I actually think that the Jaden Smith Karate Kid gets kind of a bad rap because it's not a bad movie. The first act is kind of boring, but like once you get into like the karate stuff, like it actually like kind of picks up. But yeah, Jaden Smith is just not like a likable actor, I guess, even though he was like a kid when
Or
he did
a
it.
good actor.
I mean, he's a nepo baby, right? Like we can all agree on that.
No, what about friend of the show, Dean Cain? His father, Christopher Cain, directed the Hilary Swank next Karate Kid. Will that join the cinematic universe? Hilary Swank shows up as an evil dojo master.
Well, I know that they're trying to connect that movie in particular to Cobra Kai. They've been trying to get Hilary Swank to come on just like every other like legacy character, because that movie is part of the Miyagi verse, because Pat Morita was in it. Like it's officially canon in the Cobra Kai universe. So I don't know if they're going to figure out a way to do that before the series finale, but I think this movie is something different. But now that the series is ending, they're going to try to like launch like a new movie franchise that kind of connects everything and continues it on and stuff like that. But I think it's different writers doing the movies than the TV show.
Here's what I think. I think after watching the trailer and you see the kids' moves in this movie, I think he can kick everybody's ass in the dojo there in California. So,
yeah, he's doing some Bruce Lee stuff there.
It'll be interesting to see how that works too, because the trailer shows like introducing, was it Ben Wong, I think. And so like someone who's an unknown actor. So I'm happy in that they went for someone who clearly has martial arts skills. I think that's a really good choice, but it also means like, how much did you sacrifice acting chops? Cause they're going to be green, but the trailer, again, everything we saw from the trailer, he looks like he can handle the part.
Well, I remember when they announced this movie, because it was a partnership between Jackie Chan and, I'm blanking on the guy's name who plays Daniel-san. Ralph Macchio. Ralph Macchio. Yeah, thank you. And they said that they were going to be doing an open casting call to try to find, the right kid for the role. And so like, that he'd have to be physical. He'd have to be able to do the fight scenes, but they also wanted him to be able to act. And so I think they went through like thousands of auditions before they settled on this guy. And this is like his debut movie. So like, he could be like one of those next gen action stars coming up the ranks. You just never know. But guys, speaking of action stars, I want to talk a little bit about James Bond and how Amazon is basically screwing the pooch with this multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Yep.
Yeah. So it came out recently that Barbara Broccoli, who is kind of like the gatekeeper of the James Bond IP, has been having a lot of issues with Amazon, to the point where she's called them fucking idiots, essentially. And basically, this is a New York Post article which references a journal report that says that the family that controls the James Bond movie franchise, reportedly refuses to give Amazon the go-ahead to make another film due to serious disagreements over the direction of the series, including one proposal for a TV spinoff centered on a female 007. Her dissatisfaction with Amazon has reached the point where she is willing to hold the film hostage and delay the release of the new Bond sequel. These people are fucking idiots, Broccoli reportedly told friends when describing executives at Amazon. And apparently she's butting heads specifically with Jennifer Salke, who I guess, she's the famous head of Amazon production, who's basically a star fucker. Like she just like cares about, mingling with Hollywood celebrities, and she doesn't care about spending tons of money on stupid stuff. Broccoli shot down the idea of a female Bond, though she's not opposed to having a gay or non-white actor star in the role, according to the journal. She does, however, insist that whoever fills the role is British. And, she inherited this from her father, the legendary producer. Blanking on his name, even though he's legendary. But his last name was Broccoli. But what's interesting about this is that basically Amazon spent all this money to acquire MGM Studios, right? And basically they have all these IPs that, like Stargate, James Bond, RoboCop, Rambo, like, all this other stuff. And they've done absolutely nothing with them since they acquired them. Nothing. And Brian, in particular that Stargate is just kind of like in limbo right now for no good reason. Yeah. You want to fill us in on how Amazon's handling that? Yeah,
Stargate and RoboCop are being handled by the same team. And we actually got to talk to that team a couple times. And the writers' strikes definitely delayed them. So they were arguing back and forth, the studio versus the different writers. Like they wanted to get the guys who wrote The Expanse, Penguin and Parka. They wanted to get the original Stargate writer, Brad Wright. Brad Wright submitted a script. They didn't even respond to him. They just denied it, which makes me think that they were only asking because, the respect of him being the original writer, but they wanted to go a different direction. So then they hit up the guys from The Expanse, the Penguin and Parker guys. I always forget their names. And they wanted to give them a certain amount of money. Like it was like I think it was like $1 million an episode. They wanted to relegate Stargate to MGM Plus. The guys basically said that's not going to work. It's an ensemble sci-fi show. It's impossible to do it. It's funny because at the time they were trying to, skimp on a budget for a legacy IP like Stargate. They were spending like $1 billion on Lord of the Rings. So it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So the team that was doing RoboCop and Stargate were trying to make it work, and they were going back and forth between the budget team, the studio market, and the Penguin and Parker guys. And then the writer's strike happened, and that sort of shut everything down. They had a whole teaser plan and everything. They were going to announce it. They were just waiting for a deal to be made. And then once the writer's strike happened, everything just stalled out. Same for RoboCop.
Well, a big issue seems to be the culture clash between Barbara Broccoli and Jennifer Sulky, where Jennifer Sulky referred to James Bond as content. Like we're going to make content. And that really insulted Barbara Broccoli, who's kind of like a more traditional filmmaker. She comes from like the good old days. And Amazon seems to be dead set on wanting to gender swap James Bond. And Barbara Broccoli, to her credit, she's like, no, you got to keep James Bond as a dude. Even though she's not opposed to making him gay or black or Asian or like whatever. But I want to throw this to Gabe. Gabe, what's your take on Amazon's the way that they're handling this IP? Like, this has been the longest we've ever gone without a James Bond movie in the works or being released. There's no new James Bond kind of like set to go. And basically Barbara Broccoli is essentially resigned herself to holding this IP hostage up until Amazon meets her demands, but Amazon doesn't seem interested in it. So what's your take on this?
I think it's good for the Broccoli lady to hold out like this. I don't think we need, as Brian said, she got upset about the comment where they called it, quote, content. I know that art is a business. I put business at the forefront of what I do, but it also is self-expression art in a deep way. And you need to say something meaningful, something inspiring, and something entertaining to people. I think if you just put stuff out that's colored by numbers to just get it done, you're selling yourself and the audience short. And then further, the ideologues that are in Hollywood, that are at Amazon Studios, and all of these left-wing, like social justice, DEI weirdos, their time has ended now with the Trump landslide and all that. We all feel it. No one is afraid to speak out against woke. Many people were for years. I wasn't.
Nope.
But it's nice that there's a cascade, a preference cascade happening currently, where people are just telling this stuff to F off. So she should tell them to F off. And if we don't get a Bond movie for 20 years, that's fine. Because you'd rather have a good one than just, put them out, or it's compromised, or it's a black, wheelchair-ridden, illegal immigrant, communist James Bond. It's like, that's not writing, like, just to fill the boxes. And I'm not going to go over it. We've been over that argument a million times. I think art is important and it needs to be respected. So do it right or don't do it.
Agreed.
Can I add something? Amazon Studios, they need to get a different showrunner, creator, whoever the lead is in that project. Like, it's not Amazon Studios most of the time. It's who they hire that sort of decides the culture of a TV show or movie. So if it's not working with with the person they hired, whoever it is, they need to get someone else that's going to treat the property correctly.
Brian, Brian, that's the issue, is that Barbara Broccoli controls who gets hired for that stuff. And so like Amazon has to deal with her in order to get to that point. So go ahead, Gabe.
One of you, I don't know who said it, but they said so-and-so's a star fucker who just wants to be at all the premieres.
That was me, yeah.
Okay, and I will tell you, I've been a professional award-winning writer, artist, illustrator for a quarter century now. And you couldn't be more right about that. When I got to college at the University of Northern Colorado, I was in art school. I was weirded out because it was the first time I was around a bunch of artists. I was a varsity football player in high school. I didn't hang out with artists, but I love art. And I realized so many of the art students, and then this crossed over into Warner Brothers and my professional career, they don't love art. They love the idea of being a rock star and being worshipped and being at the parties and all this stuff. And that really was upsetting to me. I was like 21 when I started. Yeah, I started college very late. But when I started college at 21, I noticed that, and it weirded me. I didn't know people were like that. I thought people loved art. They love to draw. They love to write. That's why I do what I do, because it's why I quit DC Comics. They wanted me to make filth. I'm like, no, I have integrity. I'm not going to make Superman where one of the main storylines is the sex life of an underage boy. No, thank you, DC Comics. So that's why I walked away from that. But you are right. There's so much of that in Hollywood, and that's why the people get hired, and it is a popularity contest, and it's a bunch of weird things. There are people there that love art and just want to tell good stories, but I think people like that are the exception and not the rule. That was my experience working for the large companies.
Well, Odin, one of the issues here seems to be that the executives at Amazon are uncomfortable elevating a violent, chauvinistic white male character in any type of capacity. And so there's actually a lot of pushback within the ranks of Amazon Productions against doing like a James Bond film that isn't somewhat made for modern audiences. And Barbara Broccoli, she's proven that she's like not exactly like a conservative, like she's willing to make certain adjustments, but she seems to be very set that that James Bond needs to be a man, he needs to be British. And the only thing that Amazon's been able to produce with the 007 IP was a reality show starring Brian Cox that nobody watched. And so, she wants to keep the value of the IP in the movies, in the movie sphere. She wants theatrical releases. She doesn't want it to go right to the theater or right to Amazon Prime and all this other stuff. And so at this point, she says that everyone at Amazon are fucking idiots, and she's not going to work with them until they come over to her side of things. So what's your take on this?
Sounds like they're all idiotic in many ways, right? Because, it sounds like two sides not willing to work together, but it's also two sides that there's no one side that anyone has to cheer for in this case, right? Because on Amazon's side, you have the typical Amazon creators that have made a lot of really bad decisions and that no one trusts. And on the other side, you have obviously the name, right, that's been associated with this IP for almost, I think, since the very beginning. And yet you have also these statements being made by the current head about how, oh yeah, we'd be willing to do all of these things that are the very antithesis of what James Bond has always been known to be. So I think that really it's a bad situation for fans, because there's no side to cheer for in this battle. And because they're having this battle, it means that there is no actual content being put forward or even really being planned. So basically, they've spent a lot of money to get this IP that is now sitting on a shelf collecting dust. And hey, maybe it could end up working out for them, because we've been saying this a long time about like the MCU and other properties, like especially like Star Wars, where, hey, maybe you need to put your property on the shelf for a bit, right? Create that sense of longing again, get the ideas right, and then come out with something really awesome to bring people back. But that's obviously something that they're not doing. In this case, it's almost unintentionally putting it on the shelf for a little bit. So if it eventually comes around, and if they're able to get some smart people in charge on both sides to not only come together, but also put forward something that fans actually want, that fans can actually root for and get behind, unless they're able to do that, then they're just, sitting on this money that they've just wasted. And that's kind of the typical MO for Amazon, it seems. Spend a lot of money and waste it, because, hey, they got that kind of money to waste with the billions, if not over $1 trillion that they're able to get from their other venues.
Yeah, it's crazy. They'll spend $1 billion on an experimental Lord of the Rings side, story, but they won't. But they complain about a couple $1 million going to the Stargate franchise. It's sort of nuts. Like those creators for Stargate weren't even asking for much more. They were saying, look, can't do it for $1 million. We got to do it. It's going to cost about $2.5 million an episode for 10 episodes. And they were like, I can't do it. Sorry, can't do it, guys.
That's chump change for Amazon.
It's chump change. It's crazy.
and they could be making so much money off of Stargate stuff, like especially with the state that Star Trek is in. Oof.
So
Oh, I know. Stargate would be blowing up right now.
What's the
Especially when
James-
the guys from The Expanse did it. Everyone loved The Expanse. It would have been
Yeah.
a perfect marriage.
So I
Aaron-
mean, it's good that James Bond has this Barbara Broccoli lady kind of like overseeing things, because she seems like one of the normal ones and has a solid brain on top of her head. Why can't Lord of the Rings and some of these other franchises have somebody like her? Where's the Tolkien estate? You know,
right.
doing stuff. It's like, hey man, you're not gonna make this shit. What's going on there? I don't quite get it. But,
Tolkien
you know,
Estate's just trying to cash checks, dude. They don't
yeah,
care.
it doesn't seem like they need the money.
Tolkien
You know what I mean?
used to have somebody in that position, but he
Right.
passed away, and so like now the people running it just want the money, obviously. But Mr. Butters, we on the Salty Nerd podcast, we've reviewed quite a number of James Bond films, mostly Pierce Brosnan ones, but we did a couple of Sean Connery ones as well. And the Sean Connery ones were kind of refreshing in like how like kind of like overtly misogynistic they were.
Yeah.
They were definitely a product of the times.
Yeah, they were.
But like you famously are like a Roger Moore guy.
Yeah.
And so like, and I'm like a Timothy Dalton guy, and so like everyone has like their favorite Bond.
Of course, you're a Timothy Dalton guy.
Of course, yes, indeed, License to Kill, baby. Like one of the big things, a lot of the speculation is who's going to be the next James Bond, and of course, Amazon's like, oh, we want it to be a woman, but
have a gay woman be Mr.
yeah,
Bond.
yeah. But who do you think would you like to see as the next James Bond?
I have no clue. You know, we're probably so far away from getting a James Bond movie that the new James Bond movie is probably in junior high school right now. So who knows?
Idris Elba. Idris Elba. I want to see Idris Elba.
No, I don't want to see Idris Elba.
Come on, let's do it.
You need a white British dude.
Right.
So I don't know. I really don't know. I would have said Henry Cavill a few years
Lizzo.
ago, but
What about Lizzo?
maybe
Jack Black.
Zendaya.
Jack Black.
Zendaya would be good.
Zendaya is perfect. Yeah.
She's in everything.
Double
So
O-Z.
sure. I don't know. I really don't have any
Timothy
idea.
Chalamet.
Timothy Charlemagne will have a nice little wafy, weird, skinny.
Shaken, not stirred.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are your eyes closed, Timothy?
Maybe
Open your eyes.
Robert Pattinson. He can put a British accent on and play it. I don't know.
I have you were talking about who could be James Bond. Could you share my screen? Because I have the most important question. I argued with my friends for half an hour about GoldenEye, and they all claim incorrectly which one of these women is hotter. And I know the right answer, but I want to know what you guys think before I say.
Right.
Because one of these women is beautiful. And one of these women looks like sex come to life. So who do you choose?
Right.
You have to
Gotta
go
go with Ivanka Onatop is always
okay,
the
that's
correct answer
okay.
to me.
Butters, let's just go down.
Well, I'm a redhead guy, so I'm going with the redhead.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name.
The right. Whatever her
Yeah,
name
the
is.
one on the right. Yeah.
One on the right. Redhead
Okay.
every day.
Well,
They're both women to me, so they're both beautiful. But other
Odin's
than
not
that-
going to give you an answer.
No, not
No.
not.
me and Matthew are correct. It's the one on the left. You got
You got to go.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, bro.
You
and
gotta
I
go-
always go for the redhead.
You got to go with the Russian who can kill you with her pussy. So that's always the right answer.
That's too much. That's too much, even for me.
But
That's
I want-
saying something.
Yeah.
if you got to go, there are worse ways to go.
Death by
Uh,
snoo.
Yeah, snoo. But I want to throw a question to all you guys on the panel. So Amazon just, like we kind of touched on it here, that like they're famous for throwing like $600 million towards, the Russo brothers, $1 billion towards Lord of the Rings. And arguably, like, James Bond is like one of the biggest worldwide IPs out there. It's known all over the world. It's been a franchise for, like decades upon decades upon decades. Everyone loves watching James Bond movie. Even the bad, it's like pizza. Even bad James Bond is enjoyable to a certain extent. So I want to talk a little bit about the real issue here, which is that Amazon looks at entertainment from an analytics point of view, right? It's like, okay, how many subscribers will we retain by doing this thing? How many subscribers will we attract to Amazon Prime? And Barbara Broccoli is more about, okay, who would make a good James Bond? What type of stories will we be able to tell with like this James Bond going forward? And so like she's more focused on the story aspect of things and kind of like the logistical aspect. And Amazon's just like, how can we milk this? So going forward, do you think Amazon is actually going to shift towards the Barbara Broccoli mentality of like, okay, we have all these great IPs that we can spin off into TV shows, movies, all this other stuff? Or do you think that they're just going to let James Bond languish and continue to pump out like, you know, cheap and quick and sometimes super expensive stuff that just gets Jennifer Sulky invited to more and more cocktail parties?
Probably that last part.
Yeah, probably the last one.
Yeah.
What they should do though is just focus on making good movies every few years.
So
It's a solid winning strategy. Even when the movies are bad, you always know there's one coming up in 3 or 4 years. It's gonna. You know,
how long does Amazon have the rights for? Is it one of these things where they have to put out a movie or they lose it after a certain amount of time?
They own it.
They own
the
it.
IP.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Like they can milk this forever. Like James Bond has been milked forever. You can just make decent, not even good movies, just like decent movies.
mhm.
And then when people don't like that guy anymore, just change him, and no one's gonna blink. Like no one's gonna blink when you change the main actor after 3 movies or 2.
Well, no, it's what they've been doing that for decades. So
Right.
it's just they expect it now.
This is
Three or 4
franchise-
movies and change. 3 or 4 movies change. That's
right? And you can milk this until we're all dead,
Mhm.
until our kids are watching, you know, Timothy Chalamet's grandkids or whatever. Yeah, this is not hard. I don't even know what the question is. Like, just do what you've been doing for 60 years. This is not a difficult decision.
Well, taking on the mantle of James Bond can be problematic for an actor because they're basically locked into that role for X number of years, and they always take priority. So their schedule, like they could go off and make other movies or TV shows, but then you know they have to put James Bond as a priority, and that costs them opportunities.
I've never understood that about an actor, but yeah, I guess I have the wrong mentality because I would never be a good actor. But it's like, oh no, I have to go to work and be one of the most famous characters in the world, and I'm going to be famous and recognized everywhere, and I'm going to
make millions of
I
dollars.
make millions of dollars playing
guaranteed
this
for
role.
3 movies.
It's
Oh
like,
no!
no, I don't want to be typecast.
But I really
can't
want to do an
it.
off-Broadway Spider-Man After Dark.
Mhm.
What am I going to do about that?
It's like, fuck you. You're an idiot.
I guess I would
Go to work.
I
Tommy.
mean, because I'm definitely of the mindset where it's like I think that the money that they get is definitely enough for them to be able to at least set up for themselves things that can protect them from from that eye is that it's now on you. Because we do have to keep in mind, right? If we think it's crazy when people get like swapped swatted or things like that when they are just like kind of regular ordinary personalities to not even that level. Imagine now being on that level and just the kind of craziness that you actually will have. Again, you'll probably have enough money to be able to have security, but then also think about how we like to live our regular everyday lives, and it's like that's gone at that point. Again, I'm not trying to say I have sympathy for these rich Hollywood celebrities, but I do think that there's definitely a line where we have to also see that there are some problems that come out with it too.
I would say,
Go ahead, Gabe.
Well, I would say as a creative, as someone that does this for a living, writing and drawing and all that, to be creatively fulfilled, most of us, we want to do different things all the time. So yes, it sounds silly, like, oh, what do you complain about? You got like 10 James Bond movies. It would be, as weird as this sounds, it would be like a gilded cage. It really would. I know I wouldn't want to be locked into writing and drawing the same thing over and over. I've written a bunch of graphic novels in the last year and a half. I'm coming up on like my 4th 120-page graphic novel. And they're all different genres. I got sci-fi, I got military thriller, I've got adventure like Indiana Jones, I've got superhero. I wouldn't want to keep writing sci-fi over and over and over and over and not write anything else. So I think just forget the money for a minute and just remember, as rich as you could be, I've been poor and I have money, and the everyday irritations and problems of life, they're still there no matter how much money you have. So you want to, and especially as a creative, you want to be fulfilled. And I do think doing the same thing over and over, it's nice. You should be grateful. The money's amazing, but you want to stretch as an artist. You really do. You want to do and say all kinds of things, so that's why we do it, to express ourselves.
I mean, so do that though, and just keep making those sweet James Bond movies. And in between the James Bond movies, do your guest star on the Sex and the City reboot or some off-Broadway Spider-Man production, whatever you want to do. Like, it's not like you can only do that. Like,
Sure.
there's
Well, the
plenty
thi-
of actors that are
Yeah.
franchise actors that also do other stuff.
Right.
The thing that has me scratching my head is if I was an executive at Amazon, I'd be like, okay, if we want a female 007, if we want a person of color or a transgender or whatever the hell we want as a spy, why not just develop like a TV show like 008, 009? Like, why does it have to be James Bond? Why can't you kind of expand the universe? And
Nobody's watching that shit, bro.
No, but they would. Though. I have had the same question. Like, why is it always the 007 character when there are other 00 insert number here? Like,
It's not guaranteed that they would watch it. I mean, look what they did with Ocean's 8.
Double O
there's-
gay. That's right.
there-
Double O
there-
gay.
I mean,
Nobody
Ocean's 8
cares.
is a little different. though.
There is some built-in audience for this, right? So like if they're like, okay, this is the James Bond universe, but we're telling these side stories, I feel like James Bond fans would tune in for that. because it's
Nobody's
not-
Here's an
going to
idea.
go watch.
Make a new James Bond movie. Introduce 008 as his partner or his assistant or an off character. Make him likable and charming, and then boom, now you have a 008 series that comes out right after that about some trans gay chick.
Nobody
charming.
is
No one's
going to
gonna
go
watch
watch trans gay chick lesbian
If you,
agent person.
if you
with a
sell
00
them in a
number.
proper 007
bullshit.
movie,
no,
they will.
nobody. This is not.
Look, regardless of their
world.
gender identity, if they're interesting, charming character, people will watch them.
But I
No,
mean,
they
like
won't.
let's just use the HBO
They
model
won't.
as an example. Okay, so like you have the Penguin, right? Is a spinoff of like the Batman movie, and that's I think what Brian's talking about, where it's like, hey, like let's just say it's a female spy as opposed to James Bond, right? You spin that off into a series that can go in a different direction than the movies. I think people would tune in for that. I know there was a lot of talk when Halle Berry was in the Pierce Brosnan James Bond about spinning off a Jinx
I remember that.
movie franchise about a female CIA agent in the
Yeah.
James Bond universe.
I remember that.
I want a show about the teenage adventures of Miss Moneypenny in boarding school. That's what we're gonna get. Okay, so
Okay.
Well, that was actually one of Amazon's pitches, was spinning
Yeah.
off a Moneypenny
Stupid.
series.
I think I've seen that, and I think it's only in the adult section though.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Again, nobody wants to watch some
called
gay
Swedish
character
boarding
in the
school.
James Bond universe.
look
So
it up
it's
on
dead
the
on
Pirate
arrival.
Bay.
I think this about the spin-off stuff. The spin-off stuff is a business first decision, which is fine. Art, it is a business. That's a reality a lot of artists won't admit. But if you're gonna make a spin-off, you better do your work on the story to the degree of, why do I have to tell this story? Don't just tell it because you want to spin off and have more content and money. You better have a story you have to tell that is important, that is inspiring, that's entertaining, uplifting. Because a lot of this stuff, if you're just thinking expand content, you're going to miss the whole point of art, which is to tell an important story, one that demands to be told. And I see a lot of the spin-off shit, it didn't need to be told. We didn't need to know.
Next
Yeah,
thing you know, we have a show set in the James Bond universe, but it's 500 years in the future,
Right.
And they're starting a new spy school with one of James Bond's
Ugh.
associates. So no, thank you.
Next thing you know, they'll go way back before the Lord of the Rings movies and change all
Yeah.
the lore. Oh, wait, never mind.
Mhm.
Well, I feel like James Bond would be the IP that the business model for Citadel would have worked best with, right? Where like
Yeah,
they were trying to do this international spy TV show, but they already had James Bond to do that with. And
that was
personally,
so weird.
personally,
have James
if
Bond. Yeah.
yeah, if they used the Spectre and they used all these different IPs or movies, TV shows to kind of explore like how evil and insidious Spectre is through the viewpoint of all these different spies, and they actually are building up to something, I think that would get a lot of people's interest. But
100%.
that's just me.
When I
That's just
first heard about Citadel, I was like, why isn't this a James Bond thing? It's such it's that you're wasting an opportunity here. It's so weird.
I just think spin-offs are just overdone. I just do. I'm
Yeah.
tired of them making these big giant stupid universes. Just give us a James Bond movie. Don't make it woke. Get us a good character to play the role and move on. Let's go.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
care
you gotta
about
start with
one good
extraneous nonsense.
All I can think of also is my dad. My dad is just this giant James Bond fan, has been for almost entire life. For a good year or two, last few years, there was a good year or two where he literally had this giant stack of all of the James Bond movies, and then every week he and my mom would literally just watch all of the films, and they ended up watching it like several times in the course of a year. That's the kind of fan that he is. And he was one he did not like, other than the Casino Royale. He was not a big fan of the more modern Bond. But I can just know right now, there's no way that he would ever watch a series that features some other character. There's just no way he would do that. That would not have any interest in him, because he wants, like, he's the guy that has the shaken not stirred, right? He's the one that makes that for himself, and is always in that life, right? He loves just that aspect of the character. And so if you're going to just do something about someone other than him, no, I'm sorry. Like, that older audience, which I still think is a very key part of that demographic that shows up for those movies, they're not going to transfer over to a show.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry, Matt. I just wanted to like touch on that really quick. I feel like they've waited long enough now to where they're going to lose a generation of fans, and they're going to have to rebuild their fan base back up, because people in my generation, we just don't care anymore. I don't think about this stuff.
I don't think young people like or care about Bond at all. I have kids in their early 20s, my children. They know who and what James Bond is, but I don't think they've ever seen one of them, and they couldn't care less.
My kids are like, what superpowers does he have?
You guys know what everyone cares about.
Don't watch comic books. Even though I'm a comic book artist, my kids don't watch comic book movies.
Yeah, but you know what everyone does care about? Super chats.
Yeah.
Aaron Charman for £20. Speaking of the Brits, Merry Christmas, my fellow salty nerds. Thanks for all the laughs in 2024. Looking forward to many more in 2025. Thank you very much, Aaron. Appreciate your support. And we are going to be having a lot of fun in 2025. I guarantee it. And we got a members chat from the Astro Nerd Boy, a member for 21 months. That's a long time. Merry Christmas, gang. Hope you all have a good one. I will finally be able to watch Brian's Alien documentary this week.
Nice.
So, see, Brian, you're going to have one person watch it.
Yeah, at least one person. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Mom. Boy.
Mom.
Love you, buddy.
And Kinks and Grandmas for $1.99. A Superman Crouching Tiger lingers for Lois Lane. Yes.
Wow.
Appreciate that $1.99. All right, and I know everyone appreciates my my Trade Federation accent. So
Odin's hat's really bothering
He must
me.
be a decoy.
My OCD is like super triggered by that stupid the way you have that hat on your head.
Yeah, it's because it's very tight on my head, and I was wearing it on FNT last night, and it hurt.
Just take it off.
Your glasses are triggering me, Brian. You look weird.
I can't. My eyes are hurting. I'm sorry. It's either that or I put on the sunglasses. Which one do you want?
Is that better, Brian?
Do you guys know what's been hurting people? Is this new Superman trailer for 2025? So famously, James Gunn released the next big Superman movie, the thing that's going to officially kick off his version of the DC universe, and it's been kind of divisive, to say the least. And of course, we can't show it because we'll get copyright claimed and all that other stuff. And everyone who's done reactions of it, Warner Brothers has had them taken down. It's like they don't know what publicity means or anything like that,
or fair use,
or anything of that type thing. But so we all watched it, and there was a lot of buildup to this trailer. Like, they were dropping promo images, they were dropping all this other stuff in the buildup to it. And once people finally saw it, some people loved it, some people thought it was the dumbest thing they've ever seen. But I want to get my fantastic panel of nerds reaction to it. And I want to start with the best friend of Superman himself, Mr. Gabe Eltaeb, once he's finished.
Sorry. Airdrop myself an image I might show you later from my iPad to my desktop.
Right on. But Gabe, but before you get into your reaction of it, I want to know, do you know if Dean Kane's seen this and what he thinks of the trailer?
I haven't talked to him about it. We were making fun of yesterday. I won't go on a tangent too much. DC Comics putting out an all fart issue of Harley Quinn. I'm not making that up, but that's
I saw that. Yeah.
And Dean and I were joking about that yesterday. I said, the crazy thing is this is the least shitty comic they're going to put out in the last few years. But so about the trailer, what did you, I haven't heard from Dean about it. No.
All right. What's your take on the trailer?
I don't care. I saw it and it's like, yeah, it looks like a Superman movie. Like, at this point, who cares? All DC Comics has done is fumbled on the movies, like, forever. I don't, their cinematic universe, the Snyderverse, will it, won't it? The Flash movie, it's just been, I'm biased because I worked there and I got to go to the Aquaman premiere because I was one of the artists on Aquaman when it came out. I got to go to the Shazam premiere. It was really fun, really cool. I snuck into a Hollywood party at the Shazam premiere. It was cool. So I have a soft spot in my heart for those two movies, but otherwise we've seen how it's performed, and it just seems embarrassing, the DC cinematic universe. And I don't expect anything to change. I think their brand is completely tainted. I think the woke stuff they do is ridiculous and embarrassing. And I don't see any change. To me, who cares? Richard Donner got this right back in the late 70s. Leave it alone. That's enough.
Well, Brian, you run a DC Universe channel, and you've been very outspoken about your support of James Gunn and his vision.
Yeah.
What's your take on the trailer?
Yeah, I thoroughly disagree with Gabe. I definitely want something. I definitely want some new Superman after 30 plus years. So I will definitely take this new Superman. I think the trailer was very comics accurate. For the most part, I think James Gunn has never let us down. He's a brilliant creator, and if I had one complaint about it, I think the contrast, like the coloring, could have been different. But I don't know. That's
not dark enough for you.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm just like tainted by the Snyder slop. So the thing is, like, I wasn't like blown away by the trailer, but it is a teaser trailer. I liked Crypto, what they did with them. Everyone complaining about Guy Gardner's hair, and I'm like, that's what Guy Gardner looks like. So like, everyone wants to complain about his hair, but like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be like, this is not comics accurate, and then when they give you comics accurate, be like,
hold on. For 6 years, I was the main colorist of Guy Gardner books, Emerald Warriors,
awesome.
Green Lantern Corps, and the Red Lanterns. We never gave him that dickhead haircut.
But when he was a dickhead, he had that haircut, though,
right? So you don't. But I mean, it looks.
So he might be playing the asshole version of that character. We don't know.
They shouldn't do it. It looks dumb, and things need to be aesthetic. I mean, we're always talking about this with the woke stuff, with the video games and the uglification of women and flattening their chests and making it like Dragon Age, Veilguard, all that ugly characters. You don't want characters to not be aesthetically pleasing. I get that it's John Byrne's haircut from whatever the 70s or whatever,
but he might be playing that version of Guy Gardner. Though
that haircut isn't the version. The version is his dialogue and actions, not his haircut.
But the famous version where he's an asshole gun for hire that gets punched out by Batman is that haircut. What if they're trying to invoke that era of the comics?
So then he'll have a change, and then he'll get a good haircut, right? Is
that
how it works? Okay.
I guarantee he can get punched with a nice looking haircut. I guarantee it.
All I'm saying is that they're probably trying to invoke that era of the comics. So it might be that he gets a haircut after he quits his job working for Maxwell, whoever the hell he's working. He's clearly working for someone. I don't know the story, but from everything I've seen, it's Lois Lane looks like Lois Lane. There's heterosexual kisses going on. There's nothing woke from this trailer that we can see. It appears to be a Superman movie, and so James Gunn is, from this trailer, from what we know, he is delivering what we've been asking for a decade. It looks like it's a Superman, comics accurate Superman movie. Yet there are some people that all of a sudden become professional cinematographers overnight the second this trailer drops because they hate the fact that Zack Snyder's not the one producing it. I think that James Gunn is going to do a good job, and we should give him a shot.
There you go.
Mr. Butters, what surprises me a lot about this trailer is that it doesn't seem so much like a Superman movie. It seems more like a Justice League movie because they introduce so many characters here. It's not just Superman. It's Hawkgirl. It is, Guy Gardner's Green Lantern. Mm-hmm. It is Mr. Terrific. There's a lot of call outs in this, like Crypto the dog. You got the Fortress of Solitude in there. You got Lex Luthor. You got what's his name? Brian, help me out. The guy who can metamorphosize and
Metamorpho.
Yes. So you've got all these characters that are introduced into this 2-minute trailer, and it doesn't seem super focused on Superman. So what was your reaction on this?
I don't know. It seemed focused on Superman to me, but I'll tell you, I feel like I'm just a old, dried out, emotionless husk because I watched this thing and I had absolutely no reaction whatsoever in one way or the other. I just said, oh well, there's the trailer. Watched it and okay, it's done. Nice. Yay, crypto. Okay, cool. Bunch of characters that are going to be introduced for the new James Gunn DC universe, and it didn't do much for me. I'm going to be honest with you. I did like the crypto thing. I thought it was cool to see, the dog, but that was something new that he put in there that we hadn't gotten in the other movies. But no, I've never been a huge DC guy. I just see another movie with a bunch of people in spandex and tights and capes, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll go watch this one, and I'll kind of save my thoughts for when it actually comes out, because this trailer didn't do much of anything for me at all.
That's the play.
With you.
Watch it when it comes out. If it's a good movie, means it's a good movie, whether it's superhero or drama, doesn't matter.
Brian, what struck me the most about the release of this trailer is that James Gunn returned to Twitter to promote it, as opposed to like doing it on Threads, where he's been for like the past 2-3 years, ever since Elon took over.
Yeah, looks like Threads isn't popular enough, huh, buddy?
You got a Blue Sky. All the weirdos.
Blue Sky or whatever. Yeah, you coming back to Twitter when you want to promote. Yeah, that actually bothers me a little bit, that he insists on coming back to Twitter whenever he wants to actually promote something. But over on Threads, that's where he actually talks to people.
Yeah, but speaking of James Gunn, Odin, so James Gunn got into a little bit of hot water around some controversial tweets way back in the day, and that kind of soured his relationship with Marvel, and then he moved over to DC and all this other stuff. And so he's a very outspoken leftist, let's just say. And when it comes to him taking on the DC universe, a lot of people are worried about him getting political or going woke or whatever. And he's publicly come out and said that basically his take on Superman is it's about hope and kindness, and it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. He just wants to focus on that, and basically how Superman is a hero for everyone. And in fact, his producing partner came out and publicly said Superman is about truth, justice, and the American way. And he specifically said the American way, which DC Comics itself has been trying to walk back from. So a lot of people are analyzing this trailer from the lens of okay, can I spot anything that's woke or political that I can start criticizing? And a lot of people are okay, I can't find anything. But then there are people who are oh, I can find stuff. So what's your take on this? Do you think James Gunn is going to keep this kind of politically neutral, or do you think that there's going to be some hidden subtext in there?
I mean, everything that we see so far, it seems like he's probably going to keep it pretty neutral, though. That same quote that you were mentioning, I remember hearing it and reading it. And in my head, all I could think of was, well, we know exactly where he stands politically. And so I feel like you could still read that in a way that is almost focusing especially on this is about kindness and not just a talk and being a yelling, not just yelling at people. And I felt like that was very much kind of him, kind of also showing him, oh yeah, he still holds to his political views. And so whether or not they get into the movie or not, I don't think there's really enough there at this point. As far as the trailer goes, I think that we have to also keep in mind that, and a lot of people were saying this beforehand, and this has been a part of the conversation now since the trailer's been released, that a lot of people thought that this trailer really had to be a just massive hit, right? A grand slam, walk-off grand slam to really get people confident in this movie. And it only ended up being I heard the expression was used it was a double. I think maybe it was the guys over at Film Threat that made that example, that comparison. But I think it's a really good one, right? That basically the trailer's decent. It's not bad, and it's also not great either. There's better trailers that exist. But when you're trying to repair the immense damage that was done by Zack Snyder and all of his crap, when you're trying to repair the damage that's been done by even the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right, especially towards superhero movies, you need to do quite a bit. And this is not that trailer that's going to make a lot of people more confident in what the film is going to be. So I really hope that, obviously it is a teaser trailer, that's correct, but there have been really good teaser trailers before. One that still sticks in my mind is that first teaser that came out for The Dark Knight. And all that it was the bat symbol. And it was getting closer and closer, and there was fire, and all you heard were voices. And it was the first time that we heard the Heath Ledger Joker voice. And that was enough for people to go, oh, I'm so excited for this movie. That did not happen with this trailer, right? Yeah, it has 1 million likes. It has, a lot of views. But when I'm hearing people talk about it, especially people that are like hardcore DC fans, I'm just not hearing anywhere close to that level of excitement that this kind of movie is going to need to have, especially with the budget. And that's what drives me crazy about James Gunn, aside from just, again, I just don't think he's as good as people say. But in addition to that, they're spending like $300+ million on this, and then he's trying to spin it as if that's not the case at all. And like lying, basically. And obviously you want to keep things close to the chest, but when it comes to budgetary stuff, it's like, dude, like, why would you even play that game when we could say, oh, well, we could just find out where this document came from and find out whether or not this is true or not. And it seems by all indication that it is. So this film's going to have to make $1 billion just to break even. And this trailer, I don't think, is setting it up to be $1 billion film. There could be a trailer down the line that does it, but this is not that trailer, man.
Well,
someone did say something about. Sorry, quickly. Someone did on Twitter mention that we don't really know what part of this budget is being spent just on this movie, because there's a lot more going on after this movie that's connected to this movie. So like, yeah, there's budget stuff being spent on this movie, but this is also the first of the live action DC movies. So there's a lot
but they're not filming it simultaneously though. So that's
there's
not
a lot of
any
front loading costs though. Go ahead.
Yeah, but Odin, I want to dive a little bit deeper into this with you, because you know, Zack Snyder famously, like his take on Superman was as like a Christ metaphor. He was basically a god amongst men, and helping humanity was more like a burden to him than anything. And I feel like James Gunn has a very different take on Superman, in the sense that you know, Superman's basically like he's not necessarily a Christ figure, even though that's kind of baked into like the character itself, but he's more like a humanist. Like, he goes around saving people, and he goes around, you know, allowing people to persecute him and hate on him and stuff like that without pushing back on that. And so like he's kind of like the ultimate embodiment of selflessness, without you know, James Gunn specifically going as heavy-handed as Snyder did. So I want to get your take on like those two opposing viewpoints of the character.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the issue with the Zack Snyder one is that you had that writing of the character, but then you also had the performance given by Henry Cavill. And I think that was where there was a bit of a mismatch almost, because Cavill was great. I just don't think that the presentation of the character was all that great. In this case, now we've got Corn Sweat, right, who, in my opinion, is relatively unknown. I had not heard of his name until it was announced, and I remember being like, Corn Sweat, that's an interesting last name for a person. Appropriate for someone who is going to be playing Clark Kent, you know, with being, you know, his origins, you know, farm boy, that kind of thing. It's like, okay, that's pretty appropriate there. So I think that based on the trailer and his characterization, he seems like he's getting it, and it seems like he's being written that way, but we really won't know that until the actual film itself comes out, right? And I think that they, you know, based on these very early signs that we're getting, seems like they chose a good actor for it, because there's this great moment where he's turning around, his glasses are slightly off of his eyes, like on his nose, turning around to look at Lois, and I thought that captured to me like, oh, I'm trying to be a normal looking person who's also a bit of a you know, a bumbling fool in certain ways, right? And I thought that he captured that very well. The unfortunate thing, and this is where again that James Gunn part of it and the decisions he makes as a director, where I don't know what the hell they decided to do with his hair, and I know that everyone's been focusing on it, but it is really bad. It looks like a wig at first.
I mean, like, he does look like a different person though.
The front perm, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the front perm. But it's not even just the style. It's how it's being presented makes it look like a wig. That's the problem. It's not the actual hairstyle.
And other Supermans, you're like, how do these hard hitting reporters not know that guy is Superman?
Yeah.
No.
You look at this Clark Kent, you're like, I can see how you wouldn't know.
But again, it's more of the looks like a wig versus anything else. And that just brings up the point. Like, look, I'm sorry. Like, I don't care if it's comic accurate, but if they have Nathan Fillion looking like Uncle Fester from Addams Daily Values, I'm sorry. Like, that's not a good choice. Just because it's comic accurate doesn't mean that it's the correct choice.
I think it's part of the story.
It could not have been made better.
I think he's playing the asshole that's working for.
It doesn't matter.
Maxwell Lord.
He looks like Uncle Fester.
I want to throw this to Gabe really quick, because
give me a kiss.
To Brian's point about the budget. So like, they have announced a Green Lanterns TV series for HBO, and with the introduction of Guy Gardner, they're going to be introducing Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre as blanking on his character's name, but Jon Stewart. But Gabe, you're very passionate about like this hair issue with Guy Gardner.
Well, it's
so
aesthetic, again. That's all I'm
Yeah.
talking about is aesthetics.
Oh yeah, it's got Mark Davis going
Right.
on.
So on the left there is my excellent art with Fernando Passarin, where I did, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 issues featuring Guy Gardner on multiple series. From 2009 to 2015, I was the Guy Gardner guy. I worked on everything he was in. You don't do that. What's on the right there? It's not funny. It's not cool. Art is about truth and beauty, and you got to have aesthetics. And the bowl haircut looks dumb, objectively dumb. He looks like the Raiders owner, Mark Davis. It's stupid, and it isn't comic accurate. Like, that's his personality doesn't center around his haircut. It's distracting. It's dumb. Art should look nice. I don't know why that's controversial. So it'd be
It's
easy
not.
to give him a normal man's haircut.
Well, I will say that James Gunn has a long-standing history of putting his friends in movies and making them look stupid or killing them off and stuff like that.
I hate James Gunn, by the way. He's a pervert and a degenerate, and there's something really hateful about his work deep beneath the surface. It just comes through. It just, it's the worst of Hollywood, that kind of person. So I hate his work.
Yeah, but Brian, like I do think that you're right in the sense that there is like some money in that Superman budget that's being spent to set up future productions like the Green Lantern TV show. I think it's called Lanterns or like something like that, and it's basically space cops. It's
Space Cops.
It's lethal. It's Lethal Weapon with the green rings and
with
stuff
the
like
green
that.
ring. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm here for, and I like the casting. It's good.
But what do you
I
think about
the front-loaded cost for sure?
What do you think about the introduction of all these like ancillary characters in this show?
I like Isabel Merced. I think it's funny that this little Dora the Explorer chick is playing Hawk Girl. If they do it right, it'll be fun. I suspect that James Gunn is going to be using her Thanagarian origin and not the more recent earthly origins, because he's more of a space cosmic kind of guy, which will be cool. As far as the story is concerned, I don't think that these extra characters are being set up for their own movies. I think that they're there to, and this is just my opinion, my theory. I think they're there to establish that this world is already being, this universe that we're in is already has superheroes, already has these fantastic kind of characters. In fact, I think that Hawk Girl and Guy Gardner are probably working for someone because they share uniforms. And just like Tech Chick, whatever her name is working for the Authority. I think that this is supposed to establish that this world already has these fantastic type of characters, these aliens, these superheroes and supervillains, and they're meant to be there to set Clark Kent / Superman aside as being a completely different type of that character. I think he's meant to come in to be the hero, the genuine hero that protects the innocent, versus working for or doing their own thing. I like the look of Mr. Terrific. I think he looks great. But again, I think that these characters are not there to set up their own movies or whatever. I think they're there to sort of establish the difference between the already fantastical characters and the new Superman. I think that's what they're there for, as an opposite.
Yeah, and Odin, a lot of people have been speculating about what exactly the continuity of this Gunn DCU is. And Gunn's basically, he's behind the Peacemaker shows, and he's basically said everything or 90% of what's in Peacemaker is canon. And apparently this movie picks up in the middle of the action. Clark and Lois already know each other. A lot of these characters are kind of established in the universe, like Brian said. And so Superman at this point has been around for a while when this movie starts. But it's still kind of confusing. Why not just do a straight up reboot? Why not start from scratch?
Yeah, and that's where I think one of the big criticisms, and the legitimate one, is to start off with the universe, is that there's, there was confusion before with the Zack Snyderverse, and now there still remains confusion. And one could say, hey, it's about to get started, and so once it gets started, then it'll get cleared up. But I still think that we're going to probably end up having still that aspect of confusion because of the films being so, close to each other. There isn't really a whole lot of time between releases. And then again, there are these projects that exist that are, a part of it, but also not a part of it necessarily. like the whole aspect of like Peacemaker, and it's like, okay, I don't know exactly what the deal is with this stuff. But I did also just want to mention, it's like, what front-loaded cost are you talking about, Brian, with this? Because again, this is an individual film. They're not filming multiple things at the same time, so they're not going to have a lot of money being put up that is going to really be able to hold over for any length of time, especially if they're doing mostly on location shooting. And anything that they might do in studio, I mean, these studios would have already have been established, so they're not really setting up anything that is going to be able to stand the test of time. Maybe some costuming, but not enough for them to, I mean, think about MCU films, right? They spent a ton of money on each and every single one of those, and they shared a lot of the same things. So they're going to spend just as much on any future film as well. So again, $300 million for a movie like this, that's insane for any movie, let alone this.
Yeah, I disagree. It's the first live action movie to kick off the new DCU, and there is a lot of front loaded costs. I'm not just talking about costuming, no, but like, you're talking about hiring actors for multiple films, hiring cinematographers for multiple films.
That's like, this is just for this movie, though.
You don't know. You're not looking at the line items on what everything's costing. This is the first time we've had the head of a studio that's also the writer director on a movie. We have no idea how this is being budgeted. Like, you can act like you do, Odin, but you don't.
No, because the document that we have is from an official document
line
from
item
Ohio.
Come on,
it's saying specifically what the when you have that name listed as production budget, that has a very specific meaning to it.
All right, bro.
That is specific to that one production.
Okay, you know it.
No, yes, I do, because production budgets have never been listed as for any future project that this person might ever do.
You know what? You understand this very unique situation in which the head of a studio is making the very first fucking movie of a franchise of an entire universe. I mean, you know more than I do. So
yeah, I've only been covering box office.
Yeah, dude. Let's go, man.
I know nothing.
No.
Production budget now all of a sudden means something different.
You
apparently.
know what you're talking about.
I didn't realize they changed the definition of what production budget
never
means.
happened in the fucking history of Hollywood.
Yeah, because no one's ever made a movie before. No one's ever made a superhero franchise before. Oh my gosh.
You have a brand new head of a studio who's also writing and directing the very first movie in a line of movies. But
guys, I am a very... Listen, you're stressing me out. I'm a very non-confrontational person. I'm gonna have to leave here in a minute if you guys don't.
I love Oda. I honestly don't fucking know, but I know you're educated, dude. But I don't think you know either, bro. Like, and when it comes to this situation, I think it's unique. Right? You gotta admit it's unique, right?
No.
It's
Again,
not unique.
It's okay.
Have we ever seen this before?
The problem is that you're focusing on one aspect of it, but that has nothing to do with the actual, again, listed production budget.
I get what you're saying, but have we ever seen this before?
That doesn't matter. Production budget always means the same thing.
Have we ever seen the head of a studio, brand new studio, writing and directing the very first movie in a potential 10+ movie franchise?
Bro,
have we ever
even
seen
if they listed a dog as a producer and director and writer, and then had a production budget, and you would say it's the first time a dog has ever been listed as a producer and a director, the production budget would still mean the exact same thing as it did in the previous films for any franchise.
I think it's different, dude. I think it's a completely different situation, and you have this guy setting up a brand new, huge franchise potentially. So,
Kadish, who are you going to throw this to next? What's going on?
Well,
I noticed that Kadish hasn't been talking very much.
Jesus.
Speaking of production budgets, we got some super chats to get to. So Kinks and Grammars for 199. Why do we trade in iPhone every 4 years for new one? Yes, indeed.
Because we're trained zombies, weirdos for the Apple cult, and that is how we do
I've
it.
literally never owned an iPhone.
Yeah.
Well, Apple specifically throttles your iPhone to make it slow as hell. So like you want to upgrade, but
it was proven.
Yeah.
Yes, it was proven. It's true. R2D bot, gifted 1 Salty Nerd podcast membership. So we only got 13 more to go before the end of the show. Appreciate you, R2D bot. And we got Mephisto's movie reviews for 30 Israeli monies. I don't know what that is. But tonight on our show, we sum up 2024 with the best and worst movies of the year, tier list and all. Smash the like button and join us right after the Salty Nerd podcast. And Mephisto, I don't know if you were here for the beginning of the show, but we are redirecting everyone to your podcast.
we already gave you guys an ad at the beginning of the show, so you didn't really have to pay for a second one.
You
but,
didn't pay for the ad, bro.
That's cool. I'm glad you guys did that. Thanks. It's all right.
Yes. And Kalikioki for $5. If possible, someone please bring up a pic of Gardner from Justice League International. I think that's the inspiration. In my opinion, Gunn has never been good with costumes. Oh, that's true.
Is that this thing? I don't know what this is, but let me share my screen real quick.
Justice League International is Keith Giffen and Kevin Maguire. Kevin Maguire draws some of the best facial expressions in all of comics. It's good books. I have a bunch of them.
All right. Does anyone want to call up that specific Guy Gardner image?
I'm not sure if this is the one. Yeah. Is that the one they're talking about?
I don't see anything.
Yeah, you got to put it up there.
That's David Finch's art, but that's the haircut. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it. I see that there.
Yeah,
I prefer the one I shared in the chat.
Yeah.
It's more
Yeah, you can
accurate,
dig it
I think, to what the feeling is.
Yeah, I think that this Green Lantern, this Guy Gardner, is actually working for someone. And I think he has a change of heart about halfway through the movie. And I think that the haircut is meant to signify that change. I think so. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie.
He's working.
I think
it
does look stupid.
I think if the biggest thing that's coming off of this trailer is the Green Lantern's haircut from a 4-second clip in the thing, then they got problems.
But it gets back to the main point of they did not hit it out of the park with this trailer, and the fact that we're talking about this, and that's the main thing most people are talking about.
We talked about Guy Gardner's haircut more than we talked about Superman, guys.
Well, I would say this:
that's the problem here.
Whenever you're selling, right, you want to create a strong desire in your customer. So you're selling a hamburger, you want that sizzling beef picture, right? You want the cheese melting, you want the gorgeous burger. Person is licking their TV screen.
Yep.
Why are you having a trailer with Superman with his ass beat laying in the snow, passive and defeated? I get that that'll be fun to watch in the movie. Will he make it? Won't he make it? That's good drama. But in the commercial, you want to sell the sizzle. You want him badass. You want laser eyes. You want him punching through a wall. You want to show his power, his kindness, all that. And they showed a little, but to focus on him at his low moment where he's beaten, laying in the snow, you're not selling the sizzle. You're not selling the main selling point of Superman. Now sit down, is that he's super.
I think we're going to see that in a full trailer. This is a teaser trailer.
Okay, but it's
all the entire dialogue in the entire movie was Crypto take me home, right?
You never get a second chance at a first impression. And the whole Crypto thing is great, but it's cutesy. It's not super. It's cute and fun and warm and fuzzy. That's great, but it's not the sizzle. It's not the sexy.
You know what is super, Gabe? Our super chats. We got one from Joseph Morelli for $5. Anyone else getting My Adventures with Superman vibes?
I did, yeah.
Well,
I felt like the color was similar.
Yeah, kind of to the point it was being brought up with the dog too. Like, I think that it's also something where that specific element, and this is where I don't have as much knowledge specifically with the Superman like IP. Isn't that something that has been debated over whether people even like that dog, like specifically that character?
I don't trust anyone that doesn't like dogs.
I know. I like dogs too. I like dogs, but I feel like that has been a debate of whether or not they think that Crypto was a good character in the universe at all.
I mean, he was a good character for like 40 years. They just decided.
That's what I mean, though. Like, I feel like there was a long debate of people who like really like Crypto and other people that really don't like Crypto.
I think putting Crypto in is smart. It's a slam dunk on a 4-foot tall rim. It's a dog. Who doesn't love dogs?
Yeah. Normies, but I mean, like the comic audience. I feel like, especially fans of Superman, I feel like there has been a debate 100%. Between that.
No,
that's why.
I don't know if you ever seen the League of Super Pets movie with The Rock playing Crypto. That movie was excellent, by the way. So
yeah, it's not bad.
I think that it's just a personal preference type thing. But you know what, guys? Speaking of personal preferences, did you hear what Disney's preference is now? Apparently, it's not with the trans movement. So. So Disney's kind of like backtracking because they're reading the tea leaves here. But this article came out in the Hollywood Reporter where it says Disney pulls transgender storyline from Pixar's Win or Lose streaming series. So this is a Pixar series for the Disney Plus streaming show. It's about a co-ed softball league. And it's basically the season leads up to their championship playoff game, and every episode kind of like focuses on a different character on the team. And one of those was supposed to be a transgender character, but apparently Disney has said that this is no longer happening. And basically, When it they say that when it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline.
What?
But the transgender character remains in the show, but the lines of dialogue that referenced the gender identity have been removed. A source close to Win or Lose said that the studio made the decision to alter course several months ago. Chances are it was right after Biden had his debate with Trump, but who knows? But anyway, this comes after like the track record of Pixar's Lightyear, including a same gender relationship, and Kiss, which sparked a bunch of controversy, and then Disney Animation's Strange World, which featured an openly gay character as the lead of that movie. Both of those movies underperformed massively. And a lot of people at Disney and Pixar are a little bit upset about this because, there's so many activists over there, but the bean counters and the CEO apparently sees that, they're alienating their core family audience. They're getting too political. There's all this other stuff going on. And so this is the first time that I think Pixar in particular has been dinged about walking that stuff back. There was some talk about, Inside Out 2, where they removed a little gay storyline from that movie as well. But this one's making a big splash right now. So I want to throw this to Mr. Butters. Mr. Butters, what do you think about Disney walking back their support of the trans movement in their family fare?
Well, apparently somebody in Disney's got a little bit of common sense in their head. Again, like I've said many, many times, when you cater to 2% of your audience, you're not going to make any money and nobody's going to watch your show. So maybe finally somebody there at Disney is figuring out that we need to make content for people who actually want to buy Disney Plus and watch our content. It's real simple. Don't make woke shit, and they made woke stuff here.
Yeah, it's not hard.
And they're trying to chop it up and make it not woke so they can actually get some eyeballs on it. I don't know. Nobody watches Disney Plus anymore. So they got to start doing something to get their audience back. Maybe
I watch Disney Plus for Hulu content.
Yeah,
I noticed that the other day. I was watching Disney Plus because Disney Plus is so much better at displaying Hulu content than Hulu is.
Yeah, I don't watch Disney products right now. Really, there's nothing there I want to watch. So, I have Disney Plus. I have the ad version, which drives me out of my mind, and I have it only because my wife insists on having it.
Use ad blocker, bro. It works.
She does it because she wants my grandkids to have it for some reason, which I don't know. I just get outvoted when it comes to that stuff.
I have the ad version and I use ad blocker and it works great.
All right. Well, that's cool.
Well, do you use it on your TV, Brian?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to do that on Roku.
I don't think. Yeah, you're probably right. On the TV, it's probably different. I watch my computer most of the time.
But no, good for whoever at Disney made that decision. Maybe hopefully they start making it more and more of their products, because it would be nice if Disney somehow became the Disney that we had when we were kids again. I don't ever see that happening, but because they're infected. They're just infected into a deep DNA level at that company with all this wokey bullshit. And
Skeleton Key's pretty good.
It would be nice. No, it's not. It sucks. It's
not bad.
It sucks, Brian. Come on, don't give me your powder puff bullshit nonsense take.
I can be angry about everything, or I can enjoy.
I'm not angry about it. I just don't watch
popcorn
it's
nonsense. And I think it's not bad.
We're not having a Star Wars discussion about your Muppets in Space Show, okay? But what I'm saying is, I'm glad somebody at Disney maybe has a little bit of common sense, but they've got a huge problem over there, and this is just one little.
100%. That's
one little sign that maybe somebody's got a little bit of sense and that they're coming around a little bit. So,
Gabe, what's your take on this? Because basically Disney, in particular, Bob Iger, he's been very forward about Disney's for everyone, but in the wake of Trump's election and all this, build up and animosity between the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, and the company, they've had to learn some hard lessons about reality and about the pushback that they're getting from their customers. So what's your take on this?
Well, yeah, I do think the gender stuff is a lot bigger of an issue and a problem for the left than they realized. And I think we put up with a lot of woke crap for years, but as soon as you want to start you got to be very careful because it's YouTube. Telling stuff to kids That's the line. That's the line for most reasonable people. Like, listen, I don't want them reading to kids in the library, and not because they're LGB, whatever. I don't want female strippers reading to kids in the library. You don't. It's YouTube. Be careful. You don't show young people this sort of content. You don't. Let them be kids. Let them run in the yard, pick up a rock, look at the bugs under the rock, look at rainbows, make cookies. Let them be children. Holy shit. Don't put this kind of material in front of kids. Don't start doing that. Sorry, I need a drink. But it is wise, I guess, or maybe they're armistice of Disney to say, we realize that parents want to get to their stuff on their own time frame with their kids. Like, yes, that's all we've been saying. We don't hate LGBTQ people or whatever, but don't talk to kids about this. What in the hell is your problem? Yeah, could you imagine if you were out at the park or on the city bus and someone started talking to your kid about these issues, like a stranger?
Kate, can I talk to you about trans rights?
Yeah.
Like,
do you ever wonder? Do you ever question your identity? It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
There's a reason my kids are in private school, bro. Because I walked into their first grade class and their teacher had a trans pin and shaved head and blue hair tips. And I was like,
I saw a picture on Twitter. I think it was 2 days ago about how a library canceled a read-along story time with this. I don't remember the name of it, but it was basically a person dressed in a purple monkey outfit, and he had a 12-inch long dildo hanging on and strapped around his waist.
I saw that news story. That was in Britain.
Like,
yeah.
What the hell? Who sends their kids to that?
Who wants to show that to kids, right? Criminals. Right. These are criminals.
Who wants to show that to them? But what parents take their kids to something like that? Who takes their little kids to something parents. Like that? Idiots, just absolutely brain dead people. It's out of the crazy.
Brian, that reminds me of that great Babylon Bee tweet where it says parents are having second thoughts after Drag Queen Story Hour is renamed to Half Naked Men Want to Read to Your Children.
Yeah.
I remember that. I was dying.
What's this passion for reading? I saw like a joke comic strip online. It was like, why don't you read at the old folks home? Why don't you read at the cancer ward? Why don't you go read to other people who might need some comfort? Why is it kids?
It's always kids.
Why. You know why. You know exactly why.
Here's
middle-aged naked men dressed as women read your kids.
They don't have trans people reading stories at the retirement home because the boomers would just probably throw them out the highest balcony they could find.
They'd have World War II flashbacks and start firing.
Oh, that would just
be I fought for this country.
Yeah. But Brian, what's your take on Disney walking back their support? Because honestly, like Disney, they're supportive of these communities when it's convenient, but when it comes to like releasing these things in China and the Middle East and stuff like that, they're more than happy to censor that stuff out of those releases just to try to get that money. Yeah, and you being the biggest shareholder of Disney stock on the panel, and speak to this as an expert.
I am probably the biggest, and unless Gabe, is rocking like 800 shares of Disney. So I think that Disney is everyone thinks like this evil company. Now there are evil people inside Disney that are trying to push messaging over profit, right? But I think there's a lot of people that are also trying to push profit. And when they saw the wins, and case in point, China, they will literally be as racist as possible if it means a good release in China. They'll take black people off the cover. They'll cover their faces up with a mask. They'll literally shrink them because they're racist over there against those particular people. Here, I think they go, well, what's the wind? What's the social wind of change? What is the Twitter, blue sky, TikTok people saying? And I think they're trying to get free publicity, and they think that they'll win the next generation with these insane moves. And they're only going to piss off us older people. But then they learned Trump won the election with the popular vote, and more than 50% of the country is tired of wokenomics. And I think that their bottom line has to shift. So they're going to be changing their tune. Now, there are definitely evil people over there that are pushing a message, but I think there are more people over there that are just want to make money. Typical capitalism, and I think that they saw the wind of change, so they're going to be changing along with it.
Whatever it
takes. Even if it's a slow ship to change and slow ship to turn.
I think you're right that most people are just business; they're just working. But
Right.
one thing to keep in mind, if you read some communist literature, there's a concept that communists have called the slow march through the institutions. And what they intentionally do is over decades make sure that, hey, maybe we're outnumbered as commies, but I'm going to get the job as the librarian. I'm going to get the job as the manager that will approve this movie. And
It's in this
approve-
book.
Right. And yeah, exactly. It's the
Total
levers
War.
of power.
Read this. This is their manuscript.
What's
They've
say
been
the
doing this
name
since
again,
50s.
please? What's the name?
It's called Soviet Total War.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Exactly. So
I read
yeah,
the book.
people that
It's
control the
insane.
levers of
And they
power.
started this in the 60s and they've been doing it ever since. This is a Marxist thing for sure.
Brian,
Right.
will you please not show us your Soviet propaganda on,
Look,
on
it's
this
not-
channel?
You have to read it to understand it.
I get
I'm
it.
not reading it because I'm all about the Marxist. I read it so I understand what their play is, and I
Right.
think we're stupid not to understand that I'm referring to the larger they group. They've been planning this since the 60s when they started putting teachers into positions of power over your kids. Started in colleges, and now it's filtering down to elementary schools. The point is to indoctrinate the next generation of the next generation of the next generation until they can take over the entire Western Hemisphere without ever lifting a rifle or
So
firing a bullet.
I want to throw this to Odin real quick. Odin, do you think that this new direction for Disney will start translating into more of their adult fare? Like, will they start walking back a lot of this woke stuff from Marvel and Lucasfilm and all this other stuff, or do you think that this is just for the family audience?
It's hard to say at this point because we just haven't seen a lot of evidence in other places. I think the one thing maybe we've seen is there seems to have been indication that the MCU would be trying to maybe not, push as many things. But, there's still so many films that are in the pipe. There's still so many projects that were delayed, whether it be COVID or whether it be the strikes, that might have some of these elements still in there. So it's good to see this at the very least in regards to their family content, that this stuff is kind of going away. Because clearly they've lost that specific battle. But at the overall battle at large, when it comes to the more adult branded things, it's really hard to see at this point. So we'll know a lot more. I think one of the big tests is going to be obviously the next Captain America movie, because they clearly wanted that film to be something, and it has now gone through so many reshoots and reported test screenings and things like that. So we'll see what the final product actually is.
They've made the movie 4 times now.
Yeah. Seriously.
You know what hasn't been made 4 times are super chats. So Logan Misiak for $2. Overall, Superman trailer was great. CGI needs some work though. I don't know about that. I think one of the interesting things is they use drones for a lot of the flying footage, and they're trying to evoke
like Top Gun.
Top Gun,
cool.
yeah.
That's really cool, actually.
I thought so. Caveat Ties for $5 saw the Disney Plus advert for Night Bitch on Facebook. Add the messaging, and it's clear Disney just doesn't get its audience. So for those of you who don't know, Night Bitch is a movie starring Amy Adams where she turns into a dog. She's basically a werewolf, but instead of a wolf, it's a dog.
Is it really called Night Bitch?
Yes.
Is
That is
what
the
it's
title.
called?
That is
They're
the
gonna
title
put
of the
that
movie.
on Disney.
And it's on
It's-
Disney Plus.
It's under the Searchlight Pictures brand. So that's like that's their independent brand. And so my guess is I have an issue with it too, because that's the problem that Disney ultimately has, is because Disney is just as a name known as a kid's brand, and they have this streaming service. And even though they have it where you can say this is a kid's profile, this is, this profile, whatever it might be, the fact still remains most people don't think of it that way. Most people say it's Disney, it's got to be fine, it's got to be safe. But yeah,
That's
they're
true.
putting a lot of their other films, even from their indie brands or from their other sub brands that are out there. Like that leads things like Night Bitch, for instance, being brought into
I
the
can't
discussion.
believe there's a movie called
Unbelievable.
Night Bitch.
Yeah.
Night
Yeah.
Bitch.
That's unbelievable.
Also,
Yeah.
Darian Murphy for $10. The Gunn Superman trailer completely fails at giving the feeling of hope and optimism. If you watch the Superman Returns trailer, that's the Donner feeling of hope. I agree to disagree.
Yeah,
on
but
that
the
one.
movie Superman Returns was not
Never
great.
saw it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good.
I love Brandon Ruth, but that was not a good movie.
But speaking of great movies, I want to throw this to the panel real quick. I want to know, going into the holiday season, a lot of people are wondering about what to watch, and I want to give some of the Salty Saturday panel's recommendations for things to watch over the holidays that are holiday centric. And I set down the rule: it's like no Die Hard, You know, like
No
you
one
can't
died,
be
right.
can't be the usual suspects. You have to give something that's maybe a little bit hasn't been seen by lots and lots of
I got the
people.
perfect movie.
I want to start with Odin from
Mhm.
OMB Reviews. Odin, what do you recommend people watch over the holidays?
Yeah. Whenever I'm asked the question about Christmas movies, I have to go with the go-to, which I won't spend too much time on because it is one of those more obvious ones, but It's a Wonderful Life. I just have to mention it because it is, in my opinion, the best Christmas movie, and
What if
even
I
potentially
lashed the moon and pulled it down?
exactly, right? And
It's
also
the
like a
greatest
great
movie. Greatest
great movie
of
to
all
boot too, right? It's not even just a great Christmas movie; it's also one of the greatest films ever made.
Right.
So I have to put it out there. But as far as like more relatively unknown, this film Klaus, animated film on Netflix, actually was a real big surprise to me. It came out a few years ago, and it basically tells a alternate story of Santa Claus, of Saint Nicholas, where it is, and that's where the only real criticism I have is that it does not really go into the history of Saint Nicholas. It does not really go into that. But it is still very, very good. Great for kids. My son just watched it last day or two, and he really was just kind of drawn in and had so many questions about it. It is one where if you have Santa Claus in your home, it might lead to some kids asking some questions because it is an alternate version of where Santa Claus comes from. But it's very, very good. If you've never seen Klaus before, highly recommend it. It's
Klaus.
a darn good time. Klaus.
All right, Gabe Eltaeb, do you have a Christmas movie you'd like to recommend?
It's a famous movie, but it doesn't get talked about a lot, I don't think. And I, embarrassingly, had not seen it ever until a month ago. And it's such a good movie. And the guy that made it is the home run hitter. Planes, Trains, Automobiles. I'd never seen that, and it touched me so much. The John Candy character, the Del Griffith character, and stuff, and the way Steve Martin, who has looked the same age for 40 years. The way they related, I loved it. I absolutely adored that movie. So yes, everyone's heard of that movie, but I don't see it out there as being Home Alone or A Christmas Story or whatever, like getting the big fame like that around the holidays.
Gabe, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is one of my all-time favorite movies, but it is a Thanksgiving movie, not a Christmas movie. So I'm going to have you choose another one.
But that's beside the point, right?
Admonish.
It feels
all right, but yeah, people should definitely check out that movie. Brian, give us your Christmas recommendation.
Yeah, I'm about to blow you guys away. Have you ever seen a movie called Go?
Yes, saw it in the theater.
Go is a movie that you should watch. It's Timothy Olyphant's in it. He's a drug dealer, but it is literally about people trying to find drugs on Christmas Eve, and it is a blast. The movie takes place from the perspective of multiple characters. So you start with one character and you go from character to character and you see their perspective of the same exact night until it accumulates into one ultimate story with all those characters. And it's very, very good. It's funny. It's interesting. It's a cool take, and it all takes place on Christmas Eve.
Cool. All right, Mr. Butters, what is your Christmas movie of choice?
So I'm going to recommend everybody's favorite Christmas demon, Krampus. So 2015 Krampus, PG-13 horror movie. It's not super scary, but if you have young teenagers or whatever, and you want to have some fun watching a scary Christmas movie, this is the one to go see. Tells a little story about being a brat and being a not good person on Christmas, and this is what's going to happen to you. So yeah, I enjoyed that movie. We reviewed it on Salty Nerd a few years ago. I think we all had a good time with it, and it's a little bit out there, but it's good stuff. Good stuff.
I will say what's surprising about that movie is that even though it's kind of presented as a horror movie, it's actually at its core, it's a really solid Christmas film because it's about a family that's kind of dysfunctional and they come together through this experience of dealing with this demon. And it actually has a very good message at heart, which I thought was kind of surprising.
Santa Claus Shadow. Yeah.
So my recommendation is a movie that I don't hear talked about much, but it's actually a low-key, one of my guilty pleasure favorites is The Long Kiss Goodnight. And it is a Shane Black script, directed by the guy who did Cutthroat Island and a couple other movies. He used to be Gina Davis's husband. And Gina Davis is in it, along with Samuel L. Jackson. And it's about this woman who basically, she used to be a spy, but she kind of gave it up to become a housewife and kind of settled down in suburbia. And then her past catches up with her, and she basically has to become the badass spy again. while not sacrificing her family in order to save her family. So it's actually like a really fun, really good action movie, low key, but it's weird because Shane Black, every script he writes has like some type of Christmas theme to it. And this is definitely a Christmas movie in the vein of Die Hard. So I would highly recommend checking that one out.
Yeah, Cutthroat Island was like one of the most expensive flops ever made, right?
Yeah, totally. Gina Davis and Matthew Modine. I wish I could
plus
remember
Gina
that
Davis
director's
gets
name.
topless by accident, and they left it in the movie.
Indeed.
Wow.
All right, guys. We had a lot to talk about today, and we talked about it. I wanted to thank my fantastic panel of nerds for being here for our final show, 2024. It was a good episode, and I hope everyone enjoyed watching it. Odin of OMB Reviews. Any final thoughts? Where can people find more of you? And do you have any wishes or advice for the coming year?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, a couple more recommendations for Christmas. The Shop Around the Corner and Christmas in Connecticut are just classic films, so would recommend those. I would be remiss if I didn't mention those also. Jimmy Stewart being in Shop Around the Corner. Love me some Jimmy Stewart. But you can find me over at OMB Reviews on YouTube, Odyssey, X/Twitter, all the different places. I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas time. And I did some research before as the show was going on, and just so that way Brian knows, did you know Lord of the Rings in today's dollars cost $500 million for all 3 films being filmed at the same time?
Wow.
Oh God, here we go.
All 3 at the same time, $500
Well,
million.
what was the production budget?
That was the production budget,
I'm
$500 million.
joking. I'm joking.
We don't have time to hear this argument right
I'm
now.
just putting it out there. $300 million for a singular film that's not being filmed with anything else at the same time is
Well, also
insane.
that was before Bidenflation. I will say that. Gabe Eltaeb, thank you so much for being here again today.
Yeah.
I would love to hear about any specials you got going on at Big Man Comics. But
You want to share my
any
screen
final?
real quick?
Yeah. But any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
I just want to thank everyone that has supported me in Big Man Comics. You guys have made my dreams come true. I worked forever for Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, all that. But doing my own stuff is the most fulfilling thing. I get to be that 5-year-old kid again, making up stories and drawing them. It's awesome. And then hiring some people too that I love to work with. And if you go to bigmancomics.com, we still have some first edition printings of Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, and some cool swag. Coming in 2025, we have Empyrean, Earth Illuminated. It's a great sci-fi book. If you follow me on social media, you'll learn more about this. We have coming way later in the year, we have Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, Volume 2, The Hong Kong Connection, The Unstoppable Tyrus, illustrated by my friend Akon and myself. This one I'm actually doing some illustration work on. I got my own Goonies called Jericho Green and the Hammerheads. And I wrote another book, a military action thriller I haven't announced yet. So 5 books I'm trying to get done this year. Here's some pages from Empyrean. And here's some inks from the Tyrus book, some inking I finished last night. So
Nice.
This is a lot of fun. Not going to say anything about it. But if you like Ninja Turtles and you like superheroes and all that, we got a lot of Putty Mutants and all that. But yeah, thank you all for supporting me. All you guys that run over to Big Man Comics right now and get yourself something. And Matt, thank you for having me on the show. It's been fun coming on here a few times this year. So
Yeah, well, it's always a pleasure to have you on, Gabe. And Brian from the
Hey.
podcast. Any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Go check out our first part of our Alien documentary. So we were trying to create the history of the entire franchise. It was a 3-hour long video, and we kept uploading it and kept uploading it, and we just got cucked by YouTube every single time for about a week. We made changes for about a week, constantly trying to get this thing uploaded, and it just it wouldn't go. It was just there was just too much alien content, I guess. I'm not really sure what the problem was. But we did notice that when we uploaded it in parts, YouTube was cool about it. So we decided to change our strategy, and we're releasing one movie at a time. And the first one is up right now. It's the history of Alien, the first movie, the movie that started it all. Go watch it. It's Shane went really hard in the paint on this one. He really got as many details as he can possibly get from this franchise. And the next movie we're putting up is Aliens, which I'm super excited about, which is going to be coming up either this Monday or on the 1st of January, depending on when our sponsor decides to allow it. So either way, go watch Alien right now. And if you're a member, you can watch Aliens in our member section. We put it up early because it was already done. So we didn't see a point of holding it back. So go check it out. And there's about 5 at least 3 more videos coming in that series, and we put a lot of effort into it. Oh, and
guys,
Odin, you're wrong.
Stop.
It's okay to be wrong.
I'm
dude.
kidding. I'm kidding, Odin. I love you, buddy.
Mhm.
And guys, don't forget that in January of the new year, the Brain Show starts back up, and they will be following us here on the Salty Saturday podcast.
Yep.
And we might even try to get Shane on as our first guest so that you can have a seamless transition.
Heck yeah.
into
Brian,
the
just
Brain Show.
remember it costs you 30 Israeli dollars if you want to get an ad put up on
Okay.
the Brain
I'll
Show.
make sure I remember that.
Okay.
I forgot.
ahead,
I
Gabe.
forgot one thing. Can I ask everyone watching? Can you subscribe to my YouTube? We're almost to 10,000. I do expert opinions on art and pop culture every Tuesday and Thursday. I upload those. Members get to see them first, and I'll be doing more. Maybe some live streaming of drawing the Tyrus book and all that eventually, and showing some behind the scenes as I work on finishing these up. So yeah, subscribe to my YouTube. It's just under my name, Gabe Eltaeb on YouTube. Let's get to
And also-
10,000.
Also, we have it linked to Gabe's YouTube channel in the description of this
Ooh,
video
thank
and pinned in the chat if you guys are currently in the chat. Now, if I can be serious for a brief
God.
moment,
Uh-oh.
boy.
we are officially announcing that in 2025, Mr. Dutch Butters is going to be stepping away as a regular on the Salty Saturday stream. So our normal guy who basically doesn't read any of the articles, and when I ask him questions, says like, "I don't know, just move on."
I don't care. I don't care.
That role will be filled by Alex, the salty nerd, our fearless leader, who will be joining the show in Dutch Butter's place. And the reason for this is because Dutch's work schedule has changed, so he's now going to be working on Saturdays, unfortunately. But have no fear, there will still be plenty of salt to be had with Alex. But Vader, we are announcing that January 11th will be your last regular
Yeah,
appearance.
the
on
next
show.
the next show. That's be the next show. But because we're taking Christmas off. But
No,
Yeah.
Dutch.
yeah, the 11th will be my last show. My schedule at work is changing. I'm going to be having the pleasure of waking up at 4:30 in the morning every day and going to work from 6 to 2, which sucks. But I think it'll be better for me working at home and at the studio with Matt there. I'll give me some time to do some extra stuff there, and it'll give me some more time to actually focus even more on the Salty Nerd Gaming channel. It's going to allow me to stream at an actual normal time of day, like in the late afternoon instead of at 11 o'clock at night when I get off of work now. So it's a bad thing because I won't be able to do this, but at the same time, it's going to open up other areas of things for the other channels in the studio. So I'm happy about that. So we'll see how it goes. And I am going to miss doing this, talking to you guys every day in the chat, but I'll make that speech on the 11th. So, it's all good. In the meantime, come over to Salty Nerd Gaming and hit the sub button. And I'm in the middle of, I've streamed over there 8 days in a row. I'm going to go for 9 tonight. We're playing more games and mostly Helldivers. I'm not going to lie. We have a really good crowd of people that are it's growing every day from our Helldivers people. And we're having a lot of fun. It's been a really good week. Last 2 weeks of Helldivers has been super fun. And we're going to be getting into some other stuff. I just downloaded and installed Marvel Rivals and another free-to-play game called Delta Force. And we've got some other stuff in the wings too. So see you there on Salty Nerd Gaming.
All right, guys. And I want to officially retire our leaderboard for the year because we are not going to be doing a show next Saturday. We're taking the holidays off, but we will be back on the 11th to give Dutch Butters his proper send-off. But Scotty Dub, Brian G., William Forbus, Mexican Iron Man, Jillian N., Bob Dorsey, Sam Schwager, Major Chai Chai, Eric Winberg. Thank you all so much for all the support you've given us over 2024. It's meant a lot. It's helped keep us going. It's helped keep the lights on. So we appreciate your patronage very much. And speaking of patronage, I also want to call out everyone who gave us super chats throughout the course of this episode. Aaron Charman, Kinks and Grammars, Mephisto's Movie Reviews, Kaliki Oki, Joseph Morelli, Logan Misiak, Caveat Ties, and Darian Murphy. Thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate you. We do this stuff for the chat, but we also appreciate all your support. And going forward in 2025, the Salty Nerd podcast channel is going to see some changes. We're going to be restructuring things a little bit. We're going to be doing different types of content, and we may even be branching out into other areas as well. But that is an announcement for a later time. But as always, guys, I want to thank you so much. Tune in next year, same salty time, same salty channel. Love you all. Stay salty.
God bless.
Adios.